Hey guys, so what we're doing today is we're going to make chicken katsu, which is one of my favorite fried foods to eat. Similar to tonkatsu, which is fried pork cutlet. This time we're going to be using chicken. I have some chicken here that I have put into a gallon Ziploc bag, and the purpose is twofold. We're going to hit it with my rolling pin to tenderize it, and then we're going to also add a little bit of sake to also tenderize it. It will also help to improve the flavor. So set that there, but before we get started I want to make some miso soup for the side. So I have some miso paste ready to go. I have my pot, and I have a little bit of dashi no moto or powdered dashi, and I have some green onions. So first thing I'm going to do is boil some water. So my base recipe is 2 cups of water and then 2 tablespoons of miso for those 2 cups of water. And go ahead and put the dashi in and then bring it to a boil. Meanwhile, I'll cut the tofu into little pieces. We'll just keep it simple today, and it's just going to be tofu and green onions. And this is about 1/3 of a block of a 14-ounce piece of tofu, maybe 1/3 of a cup. Okay, and so I have some cabbage. We're going to use this as a side for the chicken katsu. And let's go ahead and get this chicken started. So you're just going to hit it nice and flat as possible. These are chicken breasts. You can use chicken thighs if you want. So I like them to be about maybe a little bit more of a 1/4 inch thick. You can get them as thick or as thin as you like. Actually, these are probably about 1/2 inch thick, which is fine. So now I'm going to put a little bit of sake in here, and this helps to add some flavor, and it also helps to take away any of the smell. So if you're using pork, you don't like that porky smell, I don't think it smells very good, so you can use some sake to decrease some of that. So I'll put in maybe about 3-4 tablespoons worth. And this is about 1.5 pounds of chicken. So if you're using less than that, you don't need as much sake. So you want to let this sit here for about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, we can finish up the soup. So it looks like it started boiling. I'm going to put in the tofu right now. Okay, let that go for a little bit. Alright, so it should be heated through, so I'm going to cut the heat and put my miso paste in, stir it in. Make sure that most of it is dissolved. I'm going to put in some of my green onions. Probably about 2 tablespoons worth. And then since I'm not going to eat it right away, I'm just going to put the lid on so that it stays warm. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and prepare all of the other ingredients for the chicken katsu that we're making. So I put a little bit of flour here. I'm going to put a little bit of salt as well, probably about a quarter teaspoon's worth. And then some freshly cracked pepper. Probably about a half teaspoon's worth, and then I'm going to mix it up with a fork. And I'm just using all-purpose flour, about 1/4 of a cup total. And then we're going to beat the eggs here. So I'm using 2 since I have a pretty good amount of meat. If you're using less meat, you don't need as much eggs. Alright, so these scrambled eggs look like they're ready to go. And the last thing that we're going to prepare is the panko, which is the breadcrumbs, and that's what makes the crust nice and crunchy. Probably use about a cup's worth. I have all this ready to go, and we can go ahead and cut up our cabbage. So it's one of the best things to eat with chicken katsu or tonkatsu is the cabbage. And in Japan, they cut it really thin, so it tastes really good. And then try to cut this as thin as possible. So that I'm talking about like maybe 1/8 of an inch or even thinner if you can. So we're actually gonna use olive oil to keep the chicken katsu somewhat healthy. You could use canola oil or some other oil that doesn't have any flavor. And we're just gonna do a pan fry. So I'm gonna put about 1/4 of an inch thick of a layer of oil. And we're gonna use a medium heat. So that's ready to go. Got my eggs ready to go. One thing that we're going to do today is you're going to use this spray bottle After we coat the chicken with the flour, salt, and pepper, we're going to put it in the egg yolks, the egg mixture, put a layer of panko on both sides. We're going to spray it with water, and that's going to help to make it a little bit more crunchy. Alright, so Emmy says that she's hungry, so we're going to have to hurry up here and get our chicken katsu fried. So this has been going for about 10 minutes. It's ready to go. It smells like sake. You can just leave it in there. I wouldn't drink it. It's kind of gross. Let's get this first piece going. Oh, it broke. Alright, this will be like a little kid size chicken katsu. If there's any excess sake, you probably want to wipe it off with a paper towel. You don't want these to be dripping wet. And then, like I said, the first thing that you're going to do is coat it with the salt, pepper, and flour. Next thing that you're going to do is put it in the egg mixture. And then we're going to coat it with panko. So you don't really need to do too much to get it to stick. It should stick nice and evenly from the egg moisture. And then this one's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and put some oil on here so it gets nice and hot. Good thing about using a cast iron is that it holds the heat very well. So if you're using a lot of meat like we're going to be frying right now, it's not going to decrease too much in temperature. And I have the heat on a medium-high level right now. So as soon as it starts to shimmer or start to smoke, that's when I'll drop in all the meat. Alright, so here's a big piece finally. Alright, so this is starting to smoke, so I'm going to go ahead and put these pieces on. That way we'll be able to eat a little bit quicker. So give this big piece a little bit of a spray. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put these on and make sure that they cook. Maybe about 1.5 minutes on each side. So you want to make sure to fry the chicken katsu until it's a nice golden brown. You don't want it too dark. That means you probably fried it a little bit too much. You can see here that the outside part of the chicken is cooking at a different rate, and that's because the cast iron has a different temperature at the center of the pan versus the sides. So depending on how thick your meat is, some pieces may cook quicker than others. Looks like these two smaller pieces are already going to be about done. If your oil level gets a little bit low, then you can always add in a little bit more. Oops. Meanwhile, we can serve some of the soup. Alright, so my soup is served. If you never smell your miso soup straight out of the pot, you should, because it smells really good. Okay, so it seems like this one is about done. My little one, little chicken tender. Since we're going to eat right now, we're going to pause the cooking. I turned off the heat, turn off the fan, and we'll have a little taste to see how our chicken katsu turned out. So here's my huge, gigantic piece of chicken. You can see it's a pretty good size right there. I have my tonkatsu sauce. Use as much of this as you like. Usually if you eat tonkatsu in a Japanese restaurant, it comes pre-cut, so you don't need to use a knife. So this is a funny combo here, right? Knife, chopsticks, you don't really use them together. So I'll grab my fork. Alright, so perfectly cooked, nice and, you can't see it because the sauce covered it up, but it's nice and juicy inside, and it's got a nice little crust around it. Mmm, delicious. Give myself a high five. Alright, well, I hope you get a chance to try this. This is how I make chicken katsu. It's pretty straightforward, easy to do on a weeknight like tonight. Serve it with cabbage, rice, and some miso soup. All you need is a little bit of sauce. If you want, you could even use lemon, and you have a nice dinner. So hope you get a chance to try this, and I'll see you next time. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment if you have any questions or want to share your thoughts.